we can't pay that anymore.
Your contract with who?
With the manager, is requiring us to pay the full coverage. And what you're saying is we can't do that anymore under the new.
What I'm saying is that traditionally, the manager's health insurance has been paid for in full.
Is it by contract?
With healthcare,
Is that by contract?
No.
Is that contract? Somebody answer that question.
I believe that's the case.
Is it no, not believe. Is that the case? Does anybody know is the contract, the manager's contract, require us to pay the full health insurance,
It requires us to pay health insurance.
the full premium?
That I can't tell you because I don't have the contract in front of me. At the present time, though, go ahead.
I'm just not sure if it requires it. Then I understand we have to find a solution. But if it doesn't, I'm not sure why we're going to do something different for somebody. I mean, if it's a solution to a problem that we have to solve, it's one thing because we have a contractual obligation. If not, I'm not supportive of it. And no one can seem to be able to answer that question tonight.
Okay.
A question.
Anybody else?
How are
Question, we've got now only,
how are we
you're not gonna get your
handling-
plaques if you don't really move fast.
How
It's
are we
gonna get really-
handling the clerks, who's also a charter official? How are we handling her insurance?
Same as it's been handled in years past.
Okay.
She pays for insurance just like every other employee.
Just a point of clarification.
The only exception is the manager.
Person who has a contract is the manager.
Right, but, and the contract stated that we cover,
Yeah, I'm not going to state, I'm not looking at that contract and I don't know. I didn't write the contract and I really don't review her contract.
okay.
So I really can't answer you, I don't know. But I do know that in speaking with Elisa, I know that in looking back, we did pay 100% of Mr. Perinos's health insurance for him and his family. And we have paid for our current city manager's health insurance 100%. She did not have any dependents on hers, I don't believe. But traditionally, we have paid 100% of whatever the manager selects, just like we have for council. It's only 6 people that we've done that for, the 5 elected officials and the city manager. Everyone else is in the same boat.
And the chief is also treated differently. My understanding with the chief is that there's a portion of it worked into his agreement.
Again, I'm not familiar with his specific contract.
I'm fine with allocating the funds. It's just, I want to make sure that the city's not providing
I understand.
more funds. I mean, I'm sure hopefully it'll cover the amount and.
I don't want to give you misinformation because I'm not familiar with the contract.
Before, I will point out one thing before we go again, as my memorandum says, is we'll represent an overall savings of 10% to the city. Now, we got to move forward one way or the other. Motion to approve, is there a second? Seconded by Vice Mayor. There being no further discussions, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman DePietro?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Van Name?
Yes.
Councilwoman Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilman Cabrera?
No.
Mayor Bermudez?
Okay, let's see if we can get this. We might get lucky. Second reading, ordinance 2010-26, the great resign to run for city appointees requested by Councilwoman Ruiz. Madam Clerk, please read it into the record.
Mr. Mayor, pardon me, the next item is.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize.
5B.
5B, that was Councilman Cabrera withdrew. I'm sorry, Councilwoman Ruiz, I apologize. So let's go to that first. Consent agenda item 5B, read it into the record.
A resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Doral, Florida, waiving the competitive bidding process and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and enter into an agreement with Municipal Procurement Services, Inc. for the provision of procurement services in an amount not to exceed budget amounts allocated for procurement services and with the option of renewal for 2 one-year periods and providing for an effective date.
Tab number 2 in your book.
Correct. I've had a concern over the procurement process as to the amount of funds that we're actually spending by putting it out and not actually having this done in-house. Management came back and basically stated that it's because it's a specialty, it's a unique service, and therefore the recommendation to hire a company, a service provider. And once again, this is not intended for the service provider. I'll just refer it as the service provider. And we would get the greatest amount of benefit, not only in dollars, but in the quality of the work product. And, you know, some of the projects were sporadic, so I understand we may not want to hire someone and then absorb the liability. But I have the same concerns over the bills as how were expressed earlier with reference to the previous manager. We're paying invoices that are $3,100 every other day, every 3 days, and basically all it says is procurement services on the invoice. There's no description, basically, as to what is being done. Like, for instance, simple, Mr. Forte, this is not going to be directed at you, so you can, if you'd like to take a seat. You can answer. No. My questions are to you, Madam Manager. Okay. It's how these invoices are getting paid. Now, I already clarified with our finance director as to the discrepancy, as to the invoice dates, that they don't match what's actually on the system, and I think that's being corrected. So I'm comfortable with the answer, and I'm very, Elisa and I spoke earlier, she gave me a very clear answer as to why it was happening and what steps she's taken, to correct it. So I'm very comfortable with that. But when I see bills that basically just say legal meeting, and there's no description as to what it was for, and, it's adding up to a total of possibly $125,000. I've expressed this with our legal department. Mr. Morales knows this. I've been a stickler for actual descriptions attached to hours worked and dollars billed. I would expect the same from this particular service provider, and I think that I would like for management to address that directly. I don't think we're so far along that these invoices can't be corrected. I think it's a good practice to see exactly what it is we're paying for, and for council at any time to be able to pick up an invoice and not just see professional services, $3,100. I think someone who's in procurement can understand that we, the citizens and this council that's actually paying these bills, would like to have a clear understanding as to what the service performed is. I'll give you an example. There's another one that states, for instance, you've got data management services, $2,400, or you have like financial advice, $3,000 something, but what is it?